You seem hungry. Good thing your table is ready with Saturday Omaha.
Saturday Omaha.
Eat this.
This is Dave with Saturday Omaha, and we are sitting in studio with another wonderful guest because, as you know, we talk to people in and around the restaurant industry about all things food. I am sitting in studio with the wonderful Kate Anderson of Carter & Rye. Kate, how are you?
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing great.
First of all, how are things at Carter & Rye? And also, maybe for folks that haven't had a flaky hand pie, and you should go get one, tell the folks a little bit about what is Carter & Rye for those that haven't tried it.
Yeah, I mean, things are great at Carter & Rye. We are kind of just going into our farmers market season.
Yeah.
So we're really in the space of like anticipating that. The nice weather is always a really fun sign for us because that means we get to be outside one day a week pretty soon here, slinging flaky pastries, as you call them.
Yes.
But yeah, so that's where we started with Carter & Rye, was at the farmer's market in 2019. So every year when it comes, it's just like, oh, we're here again. It
Yes.
feels good. We're excited. And yeah, we have our shop now off of 35th and Center, but I don't know. It just feels like we're coming back to our roots when we start at the farmer's market every spring. So yeah, I'm just excited to get into that again. That's where we're at.
That's wonderful. And I love your shop over there. It's super fun, always friendly when you walk in. There's always something interesting. Having experienced those awesome hand pies. And like you said, you started in 2019. You guys, if I recall, were still doing takeout and stuff during COVID too, right?
That's
so you
right.
kind of powered through that whole mess and those things. Turns out that, what's nice is sometimes the flaky pastries freeze well, and then you can, throw them in your freezer.
That's right.
Break glass emergency hand pie.
Exactly. Yeah. It ended up being perfect for like COVID because we were able to really like nail down the way that we wanted our business to work, sort of inadvertently, because we didn't know. Obviously, no one knew what to expect during that time, but because we could just like sell them frozen, people would then come and buy 6 from us. We would sell them. We did porch drop-offs, and we also would have people pick up from my porch.
Yeah.
And so anyway, we created this kind of culture without trying to, and now that's really stuck. So at the shop on 35th and Center, we always sell them hot, fresh, ready to eat. And then we also sell them frozen with our heating instructions, so you can feel like you can have a fresh pie whenever you want.
So for those that have not had one, Kate, what's a hand pie?
Yes, that is a question we get a lot. So I always say a hand pie is a pie that fits in the palm of your hand.
Ooh, yes.
It is enclosed, so it's very similar to a Hot Pocket or a Pop-Tart. But we always say it's way better than those things.
Agreed.
And yeah, I think the best thing about what we offer is that we have different flavors every week. So we do 2 sweet, 2 savory. We switch it up all the time. We have a lot of things that we put back on the menu all the time too, but we make everything from scratch. We do all our fillings from scratch. So we do everything from classic comforting sausage, egg, and cheese, potato casserole, to like a little more adventurous. Last week we had a gyro on the menu, or we'll do like a cubano, or what we call a funza, which has the ground beef and cabbage and cheese and onions.
Yes.
And then, we make all our jams from scratch. So we're doing brown sugar cinnamon, raspberry, strawberry. We're getting into rhubarb season. So we love to do all the classics, but then also kind of step outside the box too. And everything works because it's inside a buttery, flaky crust, and
how can you go wrong?
You really can't go wrong, Yeah.
So I think one of the first ones that I had was the brown sugar cinnamon, which is just addictive. And I love brown sugar cinnamon. And when you combine that with flaky pastry, then it becomes even better.
That's right.
And I believe at one point you also had a kimchi hand pie.
I'm pretty passionate about that. We love mixing flavors, and I just like to eat, and I like to try flavors. People are like, where do you get all these ideas?
Yeah.
I just say that I like to eat food. I like to try all different kinds of food, and pretty much everything will translate into a filling for a pie. That's kind of where we are able to display all those different kinds of flavors and cultures,
Yeah. How did Carter & Rye come to be in a nutshell, or in a flaky pastry?
Sure.
Yeah.
all of these are working, so just keep going.
Just keep going.
Yeah.
All right. We'll switch
All
up to
the
something
puns.
after. We'll wear out flaky pastry and switch to something else. I'm not sure what yet, but
Yeah,
we'll get there.
Yeah, it's going to come naturally. So Carter and Rye was started by me. I'm Kate. Carter is my nickname. And Ryan was my initial business partner. We're still great friends. She ended up moving back to where she's from in the Pacific Northwest, and she's doing amazing things out there, starting other businesses. But we kind of took two ideas that we thought would sell really well in the farmers market scene.
Yeah.
We were working at the time at a local nonprofit, No More Empty Pots.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Helped
we-
out many a food truck and other business get started as well.
Exactly. Yes. So yeah, we both were actually employed by them.
Oh, okay.
And then we were like talking to some of the entrepreneurs there that had started their small businesses. And we were really banking on getting into the farmer's market. Like
Yeah.
we were like, if we can do that, then we can work for a while, make pies on nights and weekends, sell them on Sundays at the farmer's market, and, see what happens.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so that's what we did. We started making pies on Thursday nights, and then first we had to get into the farmer's market, which we did.
Right, because
which was
there's like
very
a whole
exciting.
application process or something for that, right?
There is, yeah, which I didn't realize that was such a thing, but we were friends with Otilli, who I don't know if you ever tried his sausages. but
Yes, we have had him on the show,
Oh, yeah.
and I think he has ceased production
He has.
now.
It's very sad.
What a nice guy! Oh my gosh!
he is really lovely.
Yes.
And he was really crucial in kind of encouraging us and, getting our application in, put in a good word for us. He, at the time, was making breakfast sandwiches at the farmer's market.
Oh, cool.
And so, but he was planning to not make them the next year at the farmer's market. So he was like, here's your in,
Nice.
like you've got this breakfast pastry. People want to eat there. They don't have a ton of options. And now I feel like there are more and more.
Sure.
But I think because of that, we just had an in. And then because of that, we started a business. And then because of our first year at the market being super successful, we were able to kind of like bank off of that. And we started in 2019 in the spring, and then she left in December. So January 2020, I went full time.
Oh,
she
geez.
left.
Right before the.
Yeah. So that was not ideal.
Oh dear.
Not ideal timing, but I think we persevered.
Yeah, you
and
did. You're still here.
We're still here. It's been a wild ride. There were some things that helped out, just like from like government support at that time,
Sure,
which I think
sure.
is the only thing that kept us going. But now we're kind of like, wow, I don't know. Yeah, it's just a weird time to keep doing businesses. The economy is like just a little wild. So we're
Yes.
learning a lot always. Prices have increased so much. We're just adapting all over the place.
Yeah.
And we're very lucky to have loyal customers that show up every weekend and buy lots of pies.
Yes. I think being able to pivot in the restaurant industry, not only a long-term thing or near-term, but sometimes a daily thing, just adjusting to whatever is happening.
That is so true. Before a pandemic, that was always the case, right?
Sure.
I mean, restaurants, food industry, jobs, businesses are challenging.
Yes.
And you got to be on your toes. And that's part of the fun, I guess.
Yes. Now, did you have experience in the restaurant industry prior to No More Empty Pots?
I did. So I actually went to Metropolitan Community College here in
fantastic.
Omaha.
Yeah.
I had, out of high school, I went to UNL for a couple years and then just really found a home at the Culinary Institute there. So and so then from there, I worked at places locally. I worked at the Boiler Room,
Oh, nice.
like probably most recently before. I'm trying to think of other restaurants. I worked at La Bouvette like when I was in culinary school. And I had moved away for a few years, lived in the Bay Area, worked in fancy restaurants out there. So I spent time in restaurants. I knew that I didn't necessarily want to live that kind of lifestyle, which is another reason why I wanted
Sure.
to make my own business.
It's a hard life.
It is. Yes.
Yes. And in fact, let's see, you mentioned La Bouvette and Boiler Rooms. So we were talking about Mr. Brady Hess before we started talking on the microphones, opening Lazy Buffalo today as we are talking here. But I have a feeling you also know friend of the show, Emily Wickman, would be my guest as well. So
Yeah, it's a small industry.
Yes.
After a while.
Yes. Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough. And so what was the spark or the drive that made you decide to go out on your own and start a business? Because it's always very interesting to me. Yeah.
Okay. I feel like I've always had this little something inside of me that would like to run my own business.
Yeah.
I didn't really know how that would manifest. And I think once I found food, because, a lot of people grow up cooking with their grandmothers or, but I didn't really have that. I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up.
Sure.
But I knew that once I started cooking, I was like, this is an amazing way to, be around people, be on a team. I was very into athletics and performance. I loved to sing and dance in high school. So it just felt like this world that I could understand easily.
Yeah.
And so once I found food, I always felt like there was not a place I felt like I could land that felt good for me.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess because the restaurant life, late nights, long days, really long days, on your feet all day, making very little money, typically. I didn't really work my way up. I mean, I did, I guess, but you work your way up, but there's quite a low cap, as far as making decent, and a decent living off of it.
It's hard.
It is.
Yeah.
And I just was more interested in small business, mom and pop kind of stuff. So now I understand that from the other side. It is hard to take care of people. So
yeah.
I just was like, is it possible? Is it possible to have the kind of life I want to have inside of a food establishment? So I kind of feel like I set out to try and answer that question for myself.
Interesting.
And I feel like I'm still trying to answer it.
That's awesome. Yeah, because you're putting your own livelihood fully on your shoulders versus depending on somebody else that is running that business. And that is admirable to me because I think that takes some serious guts to go out on your own like that for sure.
It does. And I think it takes a real serious support too, support from your community. And also just I have a really strong family support, you know. Yeah, I just think without the help of family and friends throughout all of this, I never would have been able to do that. So I don't feel like I've been in it alone.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely wanted to set out and see for myself if it was possible. And I do think that people just need to charge more for their products and pay their people better because people now are learning, especially I think after the pandemic, that they can't keep people around if they don't take care of them. So anyway, things are, I think, slowly shifting in the food industry.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I hope so. I know that talking to the folks down at Dirty Birds, I know that they very much have a philosophy they're going for there of not only treating their staff right, but just, and you hear stories in the past of the old way before the pandemic was, well, you're not feeling good. Well, too bad. Power through your shift. And if that means you do whatever you need to do in the restroom and come back out and clean up and go. And now I think there's a little bit of a shift on, you know what, go home and repair.
Well,
and I hope that continues.
Definitely. We want you at your best so you can offer the best to the team, to the customer. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And, that's one of the things that in my life outside of food, that team aspect is really important. And the thing is, if somebody needs to repair, be that mental, physical, whatever, it is better to have them at, like you said, at 100% full strength because they're going to do their best. They're going to feel their best. They're going to respect you as a business owner for taking care of them.
Definitely.
And if it comes to being sick, well, first of all, you don't want that person sick. You also don't want to get the rest of the staff sick or your customers. There's multiple benefits.
There's a ripple effect there.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Right. Because if they power through that shift, great. You got 8 hours taken care of or 10
Yeah.
hours or whatever, but what about tomorrow and
Right.
the day after and those type of things? Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. So for when you started at the farmer's market, before you had your brick and mortar, were you using No More Empty Pots as your commercial kitchen? Because that's an Omaha thing, right? You have to have a commercial kitchen to
Yes.
prep in, correct?
Yes. I actually think there are updated cottage laws, just as a side note.
Okay.
If you want to bake or, make food at home, you just have
yes.
to like put a warning out. But anyway,
Yeah.
we started at No More Empty Pots, and they had and have a great entrepreneur program where they offer a lot of like consultation for starting a business as far as just like doing the paperwork, the legal side of things. So that's, we got a lot of help starting our LLC.
Yeah.
And, getting insurance and all those little things that feel really overwhelming were really like much easier with their help. So yeah, because we were working there, it was easy to just like hop over into the kitchen. We rented it at night, and they have storage. They were amazing, and we're so proud to have like worked with them.
Yeah.
We were there for a solid year and a half before we actually moved into a different commercial space off of Leavenworth. And a lot of people now see our sign and are like, is that another location? It's not. It's just our commercial kitchen space.
Aha.
So yeah, it is different. It does feel more like a startup business because we did start with farmers markets and we did some pop-ups.
Yeah.
And yeah, just with the way that a rental kitchen works, you can produce a lot in a short amount of time and store it. And then you kind of got to get out of there,
Sure.
So that just facilitated, I think, kind of our concept. And the great thing is that we make it, bake it, and freeze them no matter what. They're amazing, reheated.
Can confirm they are.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, then we take them to the farmer's market. We take them to our little shop on Center Street.
Yeah.
But yeah, off of Leavenworth now is where we are producing, 1,000 pies a week.
Do they just call it No More Empty Pots and say, hey, because they're a nonprofit,
They
correct?
are,
So they're
yeah.
there for consultation
Yeah.
on whatever. So
Yeah.
if you're a budding food truck entrepreneur
Yes.
or pop-up
Yeah.
person, you can just get a hold of them and say, how do I
Yes.
do this?
Yes, totally.
Cool.
They have great programming. They are, at the time they had a cafe that we actually made our product for and they would sell out of. I don't know what the current status of that is.
Did they have that? There was a coffee shop on 10th for a while.
It was called Cups Cafe.
Yes, I had a cup of coffee there
Yes.
at least once. So
Yep.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think, again, with everything that went down with the pandemic, it was hard. On those businesses.
Yes.
But yeah, they have a ton of great programming. Anyone can reach out and talk to them about their entrepreneurial help. It's really great. And the kitchen, you can end up renting for less than $25 an hour, pretty much.
Wow.
At the end of the day. Maybe those prices have changed. Don't quote me. But
Sure.
yeah, it's reasonable, especially when you're starting out. You don't have money to go buy all this equipment, to get all the permits. Let alone find a building to do it in.
Right. A place to put all that stuff.
Yeah. So you can product test and you can market test all there, before just taking off, which is very cool.
That is cool. What a neat deal. And so for you to move then into your own commercial kitchen space, so is this a shared space or this is your own space now?
It's our own space.
Cool.
We previously have rented it out to a couple other very small businesses.
Yeah.
And still are open to that. So
Yeah.
we, have people reach out to us every once in a while because we don't use it a lot at night.
Sure.
So if people are looking at nights and weekends, we can kind of work with them.
Yeah.
We're technically a commissary kitchen. So
Okay.
we can rent it out to other people. But yeah, it is ours. Our name is on the lease.
Was it just that you needed to level up your production or you just needed your own space or kind of what made you take that shift then to go, hey, woof, we need this?
Yeah, it honestly was like a timing is everything kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
But all those things were true. Everything you suggested. So, our storage was maybe like our biggest problem point at a certain point, just because we were only able to produce so much. And then like the freezer storage there, it's good and most businesses would be fine, but I think we were just having a little bit of growing pains and taking over too much of their walk-in and their freezer. And then also just like you are working amidst a bunch of other entrepreneurs and other businesses. So you do have to rent ahead of time. So we were just excited about the idea of being able to kind of work our own hours, not
Yeah.
have to book that ahead of time.
Makes scheduling a lot easier when you own the space.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it just made sense. And yeah, I think also it just was like, it allowed us to grow,
For sure.
we were able to then produce more. The shop was already open, but yeah, this just made it seamless. It's only like a mile away from the shop. So we're able to just like get down there really quick. No More Empty Pots is a little bit more of a drive. So,
Right, because that's up on North 30th
yeah,
there.
yeah. So anyway, it was kind of a no-brainer. There was a small business in the space that we took over. They made protein donuts.
Oh, okay.
And she was closing up her business and was going to sell all of the equipment and everything. It was pretty much like they had taken over the space and done all the hard work. I mean, it's just a warehouse.
Yeah.
But they had put in everything that we needed. I mean, literally all we had to do, because it was permitted by the city, was get the health inspector in there, and then
Yeah.
we were able to produce
Oh, how
like
awesome
a week
is
later. And we
that?
had like everything, like oven, Hobart mixer, tables,
The works.
refrigerator, freezer. Yeah.
Wow.
So it was like, we couldn't say no.
That's fantastic.
It was awesome.
All right.
Yeah.
Layers and layers of good things.
That's right.
Much like golden flaky pastry. There it is. We're
There it
going to
is.
keep it going.
Yeah.
So back to MCC, the Culinary Institute.
Mm-hmm.
Did you focus on savory or baking, or where was your focus?
Yeah, they have a baking and pastry program. And so
Yeah.
I did that. I didn't know when I started that I would gravitate towards that, but that's where I ended up, and I loved it. And I loved Chef Mar. She's not there anymore, but she was just awesome. And I mean, that place is so cool. They
It
really,
is.
yeah. I mean, I was, dead set on going to a Le Cordon Bleu, which has, I think, since closed, but that was $40K a year, and that was just not doable.
That's
for
fair.
me.
Yeah.
So for a 2-year program, even, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad I didn't, because, yeah, like I said not long ago, the industry does what it can, but you don't make a lot of money, and I'd be swimming in debt still and forever.
Yeah,
probably.
yeah, no kidding, right?
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, and MCC has turned out so many awesome chefs from there,
It's true.
yourself included, Justin Paul from Block 16. You've got Wayne Dingus over at Smoke and Barrel.
Yeah.
I mean, just on and on and on.
Yeah.
And just so cool that we have that asset in our community.
It's
very
true.
cool.
And I don't know if you've gone down to the restaurant there.
The Sage Bistro.
Yeah.
Super fun.
Just a shout out to that, because it is so, it's just really cool to see what students are making, firsthand.
That's amazing.
And I just think they're doing something really, really special. The horticulture program too, being connected, and they're growing their herbs out front. It's just,
It's
that is a
amazing.
very cool thing for Omaha. Proud to have gone there.
Well, I love that. I love that. So we've used the phrase that we took from Ryan of Willie Dog's fame, hyper local, and as far as local businesses using local products, but I think that also applies here to our local education feeding back into the community.
That's so true.
And then creating awesome businesses where people can get tasty food. So
Yeah, that's a really good point. That's
Yeah.
exactly, it just is exactly what's happening.
that's wonderful, and people enjoying the fruits of your labor.
That's right.
And so fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. So we've got your own space for production, and then the storefront, which is an adorable but tiny little building.
Yes.
So you need some more space to do those things there. What all is available now in the storefront? Because you've got the savory pies, you've got the sweet pies, but from time to time there have been other food related products there as well. So what's hanging out at the shop these days?
We try to just put little things on the counter for folks to enjoy and kind of help uplift the local community as much as we can.
Yeah.
So we sell local kombucha
Awesome.
from Fisheye. We partner with Reboot Coffee.
Oh, yeah.
And so he gives us all our grounds for the hot coffee that we make. And then now we're also making nitro cold brew with the Reboot Coffee.
Yeah.
So that's on tap, which is great. And then we also have granola bars from the Gourmet Granola. We have Nebraska grown pecans, which I don't know about you, but I didn't realize that we grew pecans in
Now,
Nebraska.
I didn't either. So we had just talked with Tony Ellsworth of Ellsworth Market out there towards.
They're awesome.
Yeah, and so he was taking our show on a tour, and he's like, "Oh yeah, here's local maple syrup." I'm like, "We have Nebraska maple syrup." I had no idea. So we have pecans?
Yeah, we have pecans.
I didn't know until like 20 seconds ago.
Isn't that crazy? I mean,
That
they're
is.
so delicious, and we met them by just being at the farmers market.
Yeah.
We've really gotten to be friends with a lot of the people that are vending there, which
Sure.
is another great perk. But yeah, they're so good. It's just crazy. I mean, I don't think probably when you buy pecans at the store, they're just not as fresh, you know?
Sure.
I mean, that makes sense. They can last a long time, I'm sure. But anyway, so even just their salted pecans are like roasted with butter and salt, and they're just so good. I mean, it's so simple, but they're so good. And then they do like a candied pecan, which is amazing because it's got cinnamon and crunchy little crystals. Anyway, very, very good. Highly recommend.
Sounds
it's called
awesome.
Twin Springs Pecans.
Oh, good name. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what town they're in, but they're in Nebraska.
That's wild.
And then, we have local honey from Fathead Honey.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Which is amazing. I think that might be it
That's
right
awesome.
now. But yeah, it's very fun. We love it.
Do the pecans or the honey, does any of that ever make it into a hand pie?
Yes, it does.
Oh.
That is true. Oh, I just thought of another one. We have
Yes.
hot sauce too.
Oh.
Because you have to have hot sauce sometimes.
You
for
do?
hand pies.
Yes.
Yeah, volcanic peppers. They make like billions of flavors. It's awesome.
Yes. Yes.
Anyway, yes, we do put these things in a hand pie. We've actually done an orange creamsicle with the gourmet granola. She has an orange cardamom granola that we turned into a crisp and we put on top of an orange cream pie filling. And people loved that one. That was very good. I got to do that again, actually.
Wow. So your soul of a chef definitely gets to get a good workout then and kind of do whatever you want.
That's right.
Okay. All right.
It's very fun.
How does an orange creamsicle, buttery flaky golden crust hand pie work? Like what is the filling like?
Yeah. So honestly, when I tried that granola, I was like, this reminds me of my childhood. It reminded me of the Flintstones Pops. I don't know if you ever had
The push pops?
The push pops.
Oh, yes, I have. You bet.
They maybe came from like the Schwann's
Probably
man
so.
or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, we never got them at my house, but one of my childhood friends would get them, and it just took me back.
Yeah.
Eating the granola, which is so funny. So then I was like, okay, I have to make an orange cream pie filling for this. So anyway, we did kind of like an orange curd.
Okay.
Base, and we actually, I think I ended up mixing in some like cream cheese to make it a little more creamy. And cream cheese, orange curd, sweet sugary, fresh orange zest, vanilla. Yes, it was so good. Creamy, orangey, vanilla-y goodness.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it was really good. Yeah, so we definitely try to incorporate that stuff. I also did like a salted honey walnut filling.
Almost like a baklava type situation.
Yes, yep, exactly. And we use that Fathead honey. We use their honey a lot. We can buy it in large bottles for the kitchen, so we'll incorporate that a lot.
Comes from large bees. Yes.
That's right. The biggest bees in America.
So I'll ask you a controversial question that I haven't prepped you for.
Ready.
Have you ever had any hand pie flavors that didn't work out?
Surely, yes.
What are some of those where you're like, not again?
Yeah. Well, mostly it goes pretty well. And you can kind of like, if something doesn't work, you can kind of, fix it, for instance. I mean, we're not doing anything too crazy.
Sure.
But I will say the thing that's hardest for us is if the filling is not like set enough.
Okay.
It's kind of a tricky thing because with regular pies, you're making fillings and baking them in the crust, in the oven. And so it can like thicken up. But if you're making like custards for a hand pie, and also you need like you need them to be set enough to put a dollop or a scoop of it on the pie dough.
Oh, yeah.
And then go back in the oven and get baked again.
Oh, so it doesn't get runny or separate or do weird
Exactly.
things or leak out or any of those things.
Yep, exactly. So it's like a funny hurdle that we sometimes have to jump, and it's hard to explain. But yeah, I'm explaining it to you now.
You just did. Now,
I
now
did.
everyone
Maybe-
knows.
Yeah, and maybe I can use that same terminology later.
I think so. Well,
I'm working it out.
They say, if you know it well enough to explain it or teach it,
Yeah.
then you've mastered
I
it.
totally have mastered
You have.
the pies that don't work. But it's true. It can be very tricky. And if you have, I remember one of them was like a brie cheese with like a dried figs
Okay.
and honey, local honey.
Okay.
And maybe we did like a prosciutto or something. We were trying to do kind of like a charcuterie
Yeah.
board inspired filling.
Yeah.
But the brie cheese didn't really have anything to grab onto. And so
Oh.
it just spilled out of the pies.
Oh, no.
So anyway, cheese can be kind of tricky sometimes.
Sure.
But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, and for me, anytime I'm trying to fold an ingredient into a crust or a something,
Mm-hmm.
I think quite often I have a heavy hand, and that ends up in dumpling blowout issues
yeah.
and things like that. So
Yeah.
I could see where you would have to watch how much is going in there
Yeah.
so that it works out. And when things heat up, then it might expand a little bit.
Exactly.
And do strange things.
Uh-huh.
So,
Yep.
yeah.
It's a fun roller coaster.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so again, without giving away any Carter and Rice secrets, tell me a little bit about the dough. Maybe some of the things that are in it. How does it come together? What type of dough is it?
Great question. So there's not a ton of secrets. It's really a buttery, flaky pie crust. It is a flaky pie crust. That is like the style of dough.
Yeah.
You can go on the internet and look up flaky pie crust recipes. So it's very straightforward. Flour, butter, little bit of sugar, a little bit of salt, delicious high-fat butter.
Oh, yeah.
And some liquid. That's the same across the board for pies for a long time.
Yeah.
So it's really a basic technique.
Simple, tasty.
Yeah, simple. I think simple is usually best and sells best, even as far as our fillings go. So, yeah, I wish I had something more exotic to say.
That's good, and that's nice. I agree. I think quite often, simple is best, and using quality ingredients to put things together, and the right butter and good flour and things like that.
Yeah.
Is it a laminated dough? Are you folding it? Is it just
we
rolled
are
out?
not.
Okay.
Yeah, we are just mixing it in a Hobart mixer. So that is, I think people expect that we are doing it differently. Because it gets so many layers.
Yeah.
And you can really work hard to perfect those layers in a lot of, in croissants. And it's so laborious with that sort of pastry. But yeah, we're lucky to not have that sort of process. It is just, when I first started making this recipe, I was making it by hand. There's nothing too special. You need cold butter. That's something else I feel like every recipe will tell you. Cold butter, cold ingredients, cold liquid to go in. Honestly, yeah, that's it. I don't know why it works so well, but it does. Those things coming together just make the perfect pastry. Maybe the secret is just the ratio.
Sure. Sure. Yeah, because you don't want too much fat or too little or whatever in there, and you want it to taste good with a little salt or something, but not too much,
Right.
and you don't want it to overpower the ingredients,
Right.
and vice versa.
And I feel like you also have had pie dough that's maybe a little too sweet.
Sure.
I think a big part of, we get this a lot where people say, I love your pastries because they're not too sweet. And that is true. We do put that thick, delicious raw sugar on top of the sweet
Sure.
ones, but we're not, when we make the jam, we're not throwing in a ton of sugar.
Right.
We're letting the fruit shine,
Yeah.
So yeah, I think starting with basic, delicious ingredients works for us.
For the fillings, do you taste test them on their own, and then do you taste test them with the dough? What's the R&D behind the CNR?
Yes, good. We do a little bit of both. I will say test kitchen time is not as real as I wish it were.
Oh,
like,
gotcha.
we're usually just kind of like buying the ingredients and kind of making it happen. I do wish we had a little more time to product test,
Sure,
fillings test. But we, one of the gals on the team is trying to come up with a good bulgogi marinade recipe for a bulgogi hand pie.
Yes,
so
please.
yeah, I know. I can't wait. We haven't done a bulgogi, but we love kimchi.
I was just going to say, if you had a kimchi hand pie with a bulgogi,
exactly,
just have one of each.
Oh yeah. Well, and I'm like, we can put some kimchi in the bulgogi.
Yeah.
Because
why not?
Why not?
Right.
Yeah, just make it kind of like a Korean jam. Anyway.
Yeah. Well played.
Yeah. So anyway, she brought in lunch the other day for everybody, and I think she nailed the marinade, and we'll use that. So yeah, we do product tests. We do test things along the way, but it is kind of a little more in the moment, I would say. We kind of make it come together a lot.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And I mean, if something is seasonal or maybe you're at that
Exactly.
farmer's market and you see somebody brought something and you weren't aware of, like those pecans or something, like, ooh, we got to try that and see what happens.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think that's what's so fun about what you offer, and that your ability and skill as a chef gets a chance to shine because you can change it from week to week or do whatever. And from the customer side, it's exciting because then it's like, well, what's next? I can probably get my awesome cinnamon sugar favorite, but then, I want to try this, thing that maybe I haven't tried before. So like the kimchi or whatever. So
yeah. And when
cool.
things go over really well, it's pretty apparent, just like people showing up that weekend for those flavors, or just in how quickly they sell each day at the shop. So those become quick regulars in the rotation too.
Yeah.
If the recipe like went really well.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And so what's kind of neat too is you were saying one of your staff is coming up with a recipe. So is there a lot of staff or customer input on maybe what happens next, or like how's that vibe? Like what happens there?
Yeah. So I have said since I started this business, I would love to work ahead on our menu rollout more than we do, but it hasn't happened yet. So I think I need to accept who I am as a person, which is, doing it a little bit more last minute, which honestly works great when we're at the farmer's market because we are there on Sundays.
Sure.
We can get meats, cheeses, produce, and kind of like on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we go from there and we make up the fillings. So it's conducive, I guess, to my, the way that my brain works. But, we definitely work seasonally. And so we get a lot of things through the market or just from farmers that are able to deliver to us. And that's how the menu works in a solid 6 months of the year, I would say. And then in the winter months, we do a lot more like potatoes and slow cooked meats, pot roast, like
Playing to the season.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And everyone loves to put in their piece, for the pie. And also one fun thing we did was we had we put it out on Instagram for everyone to submit ideas.
Oh,
and then
cool.
we gave away like a 6-pack.
Yeah.
I think a couple 6-packs because we ended up picking a sweet and a savory. So anyway, the engagement we had on that was like wild. I think we had like 400 sweet and savory idea.
Whoa.
Like I went through and I typed them all out because
Oh
I was
my gosh.
like not even repeats of the same idea. Like we had some repeats, but we had hundreds of people suggest things. So anyway, it is really an endless world of possibilities.
Yes. A flaky canvas, if you will. Yes. For both savory and sweet paintings.
Yeah.
Yes. So, and then kind of back a few minutes ago, we were kind of talking about the restaurant industry and being kind of a tough place sometimes, and attitudes are changing. And I believe that you have a solid philosophy on your business and staff and things like that. And so, as a business owner of Carter and Rye, how do you keep the staff happy? What's your ethos there, if you will? Yeah.
Great question. Well, I'm very lucky because I feel like I have had like friends working with me. I mean, some of them were actual friends, but then even folks that I've hired have just become actual friends, you know?
Sure.
But I think that's, at the root of it, that's what has to happen. I mean, like you become a family, which, I think has always kind of had a negative connotation when I've worked in places.
Sure.
Because it's like you see the good and the bad, and it's like stressful environment and, high stakes when you're waiting on customers and it's super busy and all of that. But I think in this sense, like we all just really do take care of each other.
Yeah.
And like if somebody needs a day or if you can come cover for a couple hours, like I just feel like I have the most generous staff. And I really value that. So I just also, I guess, in my head, my goal, I guess, like the thing that grounds me and makes me do, or at least try to be a good boss, is just generosity. I feel like that's the word I keep coming back to. Like if you're trying to keep staff from not, having pastries while they work and drinking coffee and giving them like the power to give away a pie, to somebody that
Little ownership in the business.
Yeah, exactly. I think, like, I hope my staff feels like that. But yeah, I think generosity is like the thing that will make a small business thrive.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that trust in your staff and ownership in the business, feeling like you said that they can make a call. Maybe if you're out running, grabbing groceries, because you're missing, I don't know, something that's needed for the kitchen. And you're like, oh no, I need to go get this. And then the staff can take care of things and you trust them. And that goes a long way.
It does.
It really does.
Yeah. And if you don't have that ownership, then I think, it just becomes a job. That's not as fun.
Sure.
It's got to be, a little bit more of your home or something. I don't know what the word is.
No, I think that's well said. And the thing is, if you subtract sleep, you probably spend more time at work than you do anywhere else.
That's very true.
So, why not make it a good place to be? With a family that you're happy to be hanging around.
Yeah, exactly. And everyone has their strengths,
Yeah.
So once you can kind of sort that out amongst yourselves, it can flow well. And I think we've really been doing that.
I love that.
Cool.
I love that point of strengths because there's, going to be folks that maybe are more in a space where they're thinking of ideas versus maybe somebody that likes to just maintain consistency, but that helps the business be consistent. And you combine those skill sets and you just have this, powerhouse of a team because everybody's bringing something different to the table.
Exactly.
Which is very, very cool.
Yes. That is like how the world should work.
Yes, because we're all different, and that's a good thing. So,
right. It helps balance everything out. Yeah.
Well, as we are sitting here today on these microphones, what flavors are on the Carter and Rye menu? Although by the time the listener hears our voices, you better go check out their social because they may have changed. But what's happening today?
I was going to say that same warning.
Yes.
So this weekend we are working on a new flavor. Which is very exciting. It is a grilled cheese and tomato hand pie.
Oh my gosh!
I know.
Wait. I'm gonna give you my hot take, and then you can tell me if I'm in the right space here.
Yeah.
It sounds like I have a handheld grilled cheese sandwich with dipped in tomato soup, like classic combo.
Exactly.
But in a pie. Was that the move?
Exactly. That is the move.
Ooh.
That was what I was going for. At least we'll see. We'll see how it comes out. I haven't actually baked them yet.
Sounds great.
Yes. So that's the inspiration, right? It's just like your best childhood / adult meal.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love a grilled cheese? Young to old. We all love a grilled cheese.
Yes.
And especially with tomato soup. So anyway, I've just been thinking of doing a particularly cheesy pie. Also, we haven't done. I mean, we use a lot of cheese. Let's be real, but something that with more cheese than usual was kind of the inspiration. So anyway, I was like, what's got a lot of cheese? Grilled cheese, duh. But how do you do that? But we do have the bread portion covered.
You do? It's already buttery. We've established that.
Exactly right. Yes. And so anyway, we have a great product that we use. It's just sun-dried tomatoes that are super tasty.
Yeah.
The thing that scares me about tomatoes in pies is that they're so juicy. So anyway, using sun-dried tomatoes is the way that that's been able to work really well.
Yeah.
And so, we got a ton of different cheeses, Gouda, Parmesan. We got this Cipollini onion and balsamic caramelized onions.
Wow.
Wait, I said onion twice. I don't know.
There was a lot of onions in there. It's fine. It's fine.
In the cheese.
Yes.
And so we like grated all of these cheeses fresh, mixed it with these like delicious sun-dried tomatoes.
Yeah.
And yeah, we actually like pre-baked it, which maybe doesn't make sense, but yeah, we let those flavors all meld together. We like roasted it at a low temperature for a long time. So anyway, it's all going to be mixed together and stuffed into a pie, and it's going to be so good.
Yeah, it has to be.
It has to be.
Well, and the sun-dried tomatoes, I would think, because the pastry and the cheese are so savory and a little bit of that richer aspect, and then you get the acidity from the tomatoes, you're creating a very balanced bite by the time you get the whole thing together, I would think.
Yes, you are hired.
Excellent.
That was a great way to say it.
I need to come by and try one of these things.
Well, I should have just, brought one with me.
Oh, my goodness. Well, that's okay.
Anyway, so that one is, we always have a vegetarian option on the menu.
Cool.
For like the savory ones, we do one vegetarian and one a little more meaty. And so the meaty option this weekend is a sausage, egg, and cheese. Very classic.
Delish.
We use a local sausage that is so good and herby and just perfect. Yeah. Farm eggs, a bunch of cheese. It's so good. And then the raspberry jam, which is one of my all-time favorites.
Oh, I haven't had that one.
It's very, it's nothing too special, but raspberries are delicious.
Yes, they are.
And so, that inside the crust, because it's just so tart, alongside that like richness and the butteriness is just a perfect meld. And then, of course, our brown sugar cinnamon will be on the menu.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Always a good one. And are there any that are always available? Is the brown sugar cinnamon always there, or like is there?
It's there a lot.
Got
that
you.
is kind of our VIP, we say, and it's on the
Very
menu
important
a lot.
pie?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I've actually never thought of that, which is too bad. That's great. We'll be saying that from now on.
Excellent.
So it's there a lot. Sometimes we'll take it off the menu just for maybe 2 or 3 weeks because we're excited about all these other sweet, hand pie flavors. Yeah. And people will ask about it, which is interesting because I think I get bored of it, but it doesn't seem like our customers do. So,
yeah.
I mean, brown sugar cinnamon was my favorite Pop-Tart flavor.
Well, there you go.
And so I think there's a following.
You just leveled up its game.
That's right.
And then, made it your own. So
yeah. And the way people are like, what's inside that? We get that question a lot. And it is just brown sugar, cinnamon, and butter. And so when you warm that up, it stays inside the pastry and it's not like chock full of that filling,
Right.
But it does like warm up and just the way that melts. It's like this ooey gooey deliciousness.
Facts. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So from your professional opinion, when you get that hand pie, whether it be sweet or savory, do you start and eat it from the edge or do you break it in half and eat it? How are you supposed to eat one?
That is so funny. No one's ever asked me that. I thought I didn't think you could stump me. So I think I eat it from the edge.
Okay.
But I think this is something we're going to need to poll people about because I think some people really always just break it open because you want to eat that filling. I think to each their own. It's a choose your own adventure.
No wrong, path. I don't want to steal a catchphrase from a certain candy company. So no wrong path to eat a hand pie.
There we go.
Yes. Like with the brown sugar cinnamon, I think I'd start from the edge, but you're talking about this cheese sandwich one, and I just have this vision of breaking it in half and getting a little cheese pull.
Oh, it's gonna do that.
And so you're not going to get that from the edge.
That's right.
You're going to have to do that
unless when you take a bite, it does that.
Oh, true.
There's the option for that.
This sounds like amazing product testing.
It does. And a lot of potential to get people in the shop here if we can record some of that.
That's fantastic.
On video.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. Keep an eye out there.
Yeah.
So regarding the farmer's market, so farmer's market season's spinning up. And so which farmer's market or markets will you be at this year?
So we do exclusively the Exarban Farmers Market on Sundays from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And our shop is open on Fridays and Saturdays from 8 a.m. to noon.
Gotcha.
And that's it. Those are our limited hours. But the market on Saturday, we will not be there, but that is downtown in the old market from 8:30 to
think it's a little after noon or before noon.
Yeah,
somewhere.
don't quote me.
Yeah,
I
don't
know.
quote any of us on that one. Go look that up on the farmer's
Yeah,
market.
I know they
Yeah.
have a little bit different hours. It
Sure.
might be 8 to 12:30. It's something like that. But anyway, yeah. So we have chosen to just do the Sunday farmers market since we'll be at our shop, and we just have a pretty small staff.
Sure.
We've always thought about doing Saturdays at the farmers market, but not yet. Maybe someday. We'll see.
If somebody needs to find the physical address of directly where Carter and Rice, they're right next to Bull Moose and Fist Major, by the way. But what is the actual address of the shop there?
It is 3544 Center Street. And yeah, like you said, it is right next door to Bull Moose and Abelardo's drive-through. We're just right in the middle of that.
This is true. Early Bird's right on there in that block.
Yeah,
too.
exactly. They're a couple doors down.
Or not Early Bird. Geez, Sunnyside on Center. My apologies. Not that there's anything wrong with going to Early Bird, but yes, Sunnyside on Center.
Yeah, I didn't
Yes.
even catch that.
Whoops.
The shop can be easily missed, apparently. So you got to keep your eyes peeled for a small brick building. We do have like signs on our windows, but I don't know. It's kind of, it just blends in for some reason.
So it is a natural fit for the neighborhood.
Yeah,
for
it
sure.
is. It is.
And you have parking directly behind the restaurant.
That's right.
Or
Yeah.
behind the shop.
Just right on the side. We've got our own little parking lot. So it's very easy, accessible. And yeah, pies are hot. Coffee is fresh. Delicious.
Perfect. If they are not stopping at the shop, but maybe they want to see what flavors are coming up or what's happening, what's the best place on the interwebs to find you or on the social medias? Where do we find you?
Yes. Find us on Instagram and Facebook. We post our menus there every Thursday, sometime in the afternoon, usually. If you don't have social media, it's best to go to our website where our social media is linked.
Excellent.
And the most recent post of our Instagram right there, if you click on it, you can see the menu right there.
Perfect.
So that's where we do our menu drop on Thursdays.
Awesome. So if you're taking a social media hiatus, you can still see what hand pies are
Exactly.
available. Okay.
Yeah. I know it gets a little tricky. I wish I could post it directly on our website, but I make hand pies. I don't make websites.
That is one of those things as a business owner where you are, chef, baker, plumber, social media person, electrician, painter. It just depends on what time of day. And
Yeah.
so, that's a lot.
It does get to be a lot, but I wouldn't want to be doing anything else.
That's perfect. And you can definitely hear that in your voice and
good.
see that in the smile on your face.
That's
and
good.
you can frankly taste it in the hand pies.
I am
They're
glad
wonderful.
to hear that. I do think we're all pretty passionate about it. And so that flavor comes through, the love.
I don't think I can wrap up a show any better than that.
That was pretty sweet.
That was like some golden, flaky hand pies.
There it is.
And with that, then, I think we have to stop because we just can't end it any better. So I'm just going to say that this is Dave with Saturday Omaha, and I am sitting here with Kate Anderson of Carter and Rye. Kate, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks so much. This was so fun. Thanks for having me.
Super cool. And as we say on the show, until we eat again, stay hungry. Bye.
Our show is recorded and produced by Saturday Omaha. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, as well as email SaturdayOmaha@gmail.com. Thanks for listening and stay hungry.
Saturday Omaha.
Eat this.